Hey everybody, thank you for joining me here on Let's Talk Weather. I am meteorologist Rob Wilson. Back. That's right, I'm back. Take a little time off. I've been busy. I did the couple of weeks on WTAE. Hopefully you're able to watch. And, I had a good time doing that. Let me get this cord out of the way. I had a good time doing that. That was a lot of fun. And thank you to the news director there for inviting me to join them and take part in that. And it was good to dip the toe back in there. But you know what? I'm good doing what I'm doing with you guys here on online. So if they call back, hey, we'd love to go back. But definitely, definitely not looking to do that full time again. It was a good time though. But anyway, hey, what is going on now? I had some requests to do a forecast here because we have some interesting wintry mixed weather on our way for the end of this week. So we'll be taking a look at that. I will just start off by not even trying to sugarcoat it. There are a lot of unknowns with this storm as it moves in here. We are riding a very, very fine line. And multiple different variations of this storm could transpire on Thursday and into Friday. But I'm going to attempt to give you what is the most likely scenario, show you a couple of the scenarios, and then talk about how that might impact plans or school or delays or things like that as we make our way through these last 2 days of the work week. Okay, so that's pretty much it for now. I'm not going to make this a hugely long one. I'm not going to talk forever because I want to get right into business because there's a fair amount to talk about just when it comes to the weather itself. So let's get to business. All right, I'm going to squeeze myself out of the way. I'm using the circle picture today. It's kind of nice. Put myself down here in the corner. There we go there. All right, and here is your infrared satellite loop. Okay, what is happening here? Low pressure clearly is spinning right there. Let me break out the old tools and one of my favorite things to do, and we'll start drawing a little bit here. So what I have is low pressure located right here. Bam. That's a low, as you can see. And what we're looking for this is to continue to trek in a direction that will move up like this. So what that is doing is it's pulling up. Let me back that up a little bit here. What we're going to see is plenty of moisture coming in. I'm going to make this green just so it's really, really obvious. You can see the long, what we call fetch. That tells you how the distance you have for the air to move across water. So we call it a fetch. And you can see it pulling in lots and lots of moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico. So that means there's plenty of water in the atmosphere to work with. Really, what this is all going to boil down to are temperatures and where those temperatures are. We have cold air at the lower levels, and we have warm air aloft. So what does that mean in like layman's terms, other than warm air aloft and cold air at the surface? That makes sense, but what does it mean meteorologically? Well, if you have warm air and moisture aloft, and that starts to precipitate rain, but it's cold at the ground, rain will fall through the warm air as rain, but as it moves through the cold layer, if the cold layer is thick enough, deep enough, well, it will freeze and you'll get something like sleet or maybe even snow because it starts falling as snow in the first place. Then it warms up, melts, and then it's a matter of whether it refreezes, recrystallizes, or hits the ground wet and the ground is sub-freezing. That's where you get freezing rain. All of those things are possible, interestingly enough, in a span of about 6 to 8 hours on Thursday. Okay, and that's because we have warm air here bringing in warm air aloft, and you have cold air that is dropping down. Let's make this blue. You can actually pick up the blue, the cool air. Let's see if we can find it here. It's not going to be the easiest thing to find, but there is cool air coming in behind the low like this. Oh, that's terrible. Don't use arrows for this. Let's use just an old line. Okay, so the cool air, see this low here? So you get counterclockwise rotation around the low. So this is all cold air dropping in behind the low like this. See that? So that means everywhere up around in here is cold air. And that's what we have down at the ground. Because when I show you the current temperature as of this time here locally, it's chilly. So we're going to run warm air, moist air above it, cold air at the ground. Warm, moist air will precipitate through that warm layer, hit the cold air, and then it's a matter of how thick is the cold air. Thick enough where the precipitation freezes before it hits the ground, crystallizes and turns to snow, or does it melt, not have enough time to freeze before it hits the ground, and the ground is now sub-freezing, and then you get freezing rain. Okay, let's clear this off, and what I'll show you is what it looks like right now. Get that out of the way. Boom. Okay, let's go to the radar. There is a radar, and we're seeing all the colors of the rainbow, it would appear, on the screen. And what we're seeing here is the low pressure centered right here. That is pretty obvious. It's exactly where I drew it for you on the satellite picture. Green, yellow, that's all just wet air. And then you have blue, pink. What are those? Well, if you look up on your key up here to the top, this pinkish area is going to be mixed. And that can run the gamut from sleet. It could be what we call a graupel, which is like snow grains, which is its own little thing. But suffice to say, it looks a lot like hail, but it's not actually hail. It's actually grains of snow that's kind of melted and coagulated and comes down looking like a little pea-shaped ball. And then you can actually get, like I said, sleet, which is essentially ice or ice pellets. Which is not exactly, it takes me a long time to show you all the differences, but just suffice to say, we're looking at like frozen precipitation that isn't snow. And then you can just get plain old-fashioned freezing rain. It'll all appear on the radar as pink, okay, because it is somewhere in between snow and rain, and thus we use the all-encompassing color of pink. I love it. All right, so this is slowly making its way towards us. Here we are in Pittsburgh. It is not making fast progress. It is a slow progression, but all that is doing is allowing our temperatures at the ground level to continue to cool as the warm, moist air moves in above it. Current temperature, let's talk about that. I'm going to just back this up one frame, and I'll show you, let's see if I can do it or not, what the current temperature is here right now. Let's see if we can do this. There we go. We're going to go back here. So in Sharpsburg right now, 30 degrees. 32 is the freezing point for water. So yes, we are ripe to see possibly either snow or freezing rain, and based on what the radar is showing us, it may start as freezing rain. Now, this is important for the morning as to whether or not we'll see delays or cancellations, because we ran into this early in this past winter. If you remember, I believe it was in February, where we had the same kind of setup, and it was an ugly mess, I'm not saying this is exactly like it, but it is a similar setup and a similar scenario. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens, because again, it is all about timing. It is all about temperatures. When do we hit the warm air? When does the warm air move down to the lower levels? Right now, let's go with this: some freezing rain or some sleet to start your morning. I'll show it to you in the models here. Actually, why don't we do that now, because I've shown it to you in the radar. We'll show this to you now. Here we go. This is 7Z. We're not in daylight saving anymore, so we're going to subtract 5 hours from your Z time, and that's going to give you your local times. This is 2 a.m. I'm going to let this move forward until 7 a.m., which is 12Z. Still hasn't arrived. This is Allegheny County right here. You can see where I'm circling. That's Allegheny County. Still hasn't moved in because it is a slow-moving system. So, 7 a.m., high school buses have already come, at least in my neighborhood. They come here around 6:35. Middle school bus is about 7:40, give or take, and 7:42, something like that. And then elementary school bus about 8:40, give or take, at least in my neighborhood. So here we are at 7 o'clock. It isn't here yet. Let's move forward an hour. There's 9 o'clock. Still not here. Here's 10 o'clock. Is that right? No. 11 o'clock, excuse me. 14Z minus 5 gives you 9 o'clock. I can do math. Can you tell it's late? 9 o'clock in the morning. Whew, wow, what a day. 9 o'clock in the morning, here we are, and it is finally here. Back 1 hour, 8 o'clock, not here. So somewhere between 8 and 9 is when we're looking for this to move in. Again, it's going to be down to the hour, maybe, maybe not, but it gives you an idea of what window we're talking about. All right, so starts off with that deep pink. That could be freezing rain. Temperatures cold enough, warm air aloft, precipitating through that warm air down to the cold, sub-freezing air, boom, freezing rain. Now, if the temperature is warmer than 32 at the ground, you really can't get freezing rain other than on objects that are still colder than 32. Those are things like solid surfaces, maybe cars, possibly some sidewalks, things that are dense that can still be colder before as the air warms up. But we'll see. It won't last long because, that's just how it works. Now, here we go. Move this forward. Notice the snow now coming through as the entire atmosphere starts to homogenize a little bit. And anybody who reads a milk cart knows what homogenize. It means it's all mixed up. It's all very similar. You're seeing now cold air aloft and cold air at the surface as you're not seeing much difference in your levels, your temperatures and your levels. It's staying cold enough all the way from the uppers to the lower for everything to stay as snow. So I would expect some like wet, slushy, messy stuff here. This is 10 o'clock, 15Z minus 5 gives you 10. We'll just kind of move this through our day. And you can see we've got blue, we've got pink, we've got green. I'm telling you, it is kitchen sink day, my friends. We are going to see a little bit of everything, or have the potential to see a little bit of everything in a fairly short span of time. So anywhere from snow to freezing rain to sleet to rain, plain old-fashioned rain are possible, and we're only at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's move ahead. How about come home time from school? 21 minus 5 is 16. 4 o'clock. All right. Elementary school buses are dropping kids off now, and you can see we're pretty much in just rain. But with the pink here and the blue here, it does not take much for this band to just be a little bit south. Maybe it's just 1 degree cooler. That could mean some snow or sleet at drop-off time. We are, like I said, we are walking a very, very fine line here. So we're just going to have to kind of see how it plays out. Worst case scenario is we get freezing rain or snow for a good chunk of the day, and we have some accumulation, which I'll show you here in a minute. Best case scenario is it warms up enough at the ground level that it falls through the air as maybe some wet snow and then just melts because it's warm enough for it to melt. But we're only talking 1 or 2 degrees either direction, and the whole thing changes. Let's go ahead with time. All right. Here we are, 0Z, which is 7 p.m. Thursday, and now we're transitioning back into snow. Yes, temperature's falling, sun goes down around 5 o'clock. And yeah, so there you go. Now we're just in snow, and there we shall stay all the way into early Friday morning. 10Z minus 5 is 5 a.m. 5 a.m., done. Other than a couple of flurries. For the better part of the day or morning, it's done, okay, from 5 o'clock on. And that's good news. So I don't anticipate much happening on Friday. It will happen from Thursday night into early Friday morning before most people are up, and then be over with. So that bodes well for school happening on Friday. As long as they salt, I don't see it being a road condition issue. Then at worst, they might 2-hour delay just to make sure roads are clear. But you can see there is not a lot of weather happening during the day on Friday. Now, if you're up here, my friends, in Erie, it's a whole nother ball of wax. And I'm going to be honest with you, I got to drive to Buffalo on Friday, so it should be an entertaining drive, to say the least, as I go up 79 and up 90 up to Buffalo. We'll see about the lake effect, because here we are at 18Z, which is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, it should be fun. Should be fun, to say the least. But it doesn't last very long. As we get into the weekend, high pressure builds back in. Boom, clear, Saturday, nothing going on. It's just chilly. It's just chilly. Okay, so I know that was a lot of talking for not showing a whole lot, but there's a lot going on, or a lot of different iterations of what can go on. Let me show you these snowfall totals. This is one, there are 2 different variations of snowfall totals. We have a Ferrier and I also have a different version that I can show you. I think this one's the most accurate of the two. I keep looking at the two. I'll show you the other one just to compare. But I think this is probably the closest one. About 3 inches. You can see here around Allegheny County. More as you make your way into the higher elevations up in Warren, McKean County, up into western New York, central New York here, the Olean area. So we will see our heaviest snowfall farther to the north. But for our little local area down here, 2 to 3 inches increase as you go up 79 around the I-80 area, Clarion area, 5-6 inches possible there, maybe even a touch more. Okay, let me show you the other one because I promised you I would. We'll go into here. So you got your Spheriae, and then we're just going to show you the standard 10 to 1. Yeah, shows a lot more. 7, 10, 12, 14. I just don't see that. The only way we're going to see this become a reality is if temperatures are 1 to 2 degrees cooler than what we're anticipating right now. If that 1 to 2 degree temperature difference happens, sure, more snow is possible. Right now, we're shooting for that 1 to 3 range with the potential of seeing 4 and 5 and 6 as you work your way north. You could even see 4 inches up in Butler through early Friday. But we'll just have to see on that. Okay, I'll go back again one more time. 2, 2, 6 as you make your way north. There you go. All right, let's move to the text data and talk numbers. So 2 different models. Well, one of them, let's see if it's refreshed now. I'm waiting for the 0Z data. You can see the model run hasn't quite updated yet. Let's try and refresh it here. There we go. All right, yes, just came in. I knew it was going to be close. All right, so this is the latest data for both models. We've got our GFS up here. We've got our NAM down here. And what I'm looking at are temperatures during the day. 29, 32, and you can see once we get past 10 o'clock, temperatures warm above freezing and warmer through the middle part of the day. So you can't get freezing right. You can get some snow. It'll be a slushy snow. We're looking at 96 to 100% chance of precipitation. This Z down here tells you it's a mix of frozen precipitation. So again, sleet possible. I don't think freezing rain just based on temperatures, again, being warmer than 32. But some sleet or slushy precipitation probable with that setup. Down here, let's check the NAM. Similar conditions, a little bit cooler, 33 at 1 o'clock, 32 at 4 o'clock. So this one has a higher amount of snow in it, okay? It does because it keeps temperatures cooler. It still has a Z, which is probably still going to be a slushy mix, maybe some sleet. High temperature 36, 37, that's about right. And you can see that the precipitation percentages stay high until early Friday morning, 96, 100, 100. Okay, so it's the temperatures. And speaking of snowfall, notice the snowfall total, that's with this SNW here. It gives you an idea of the model predicting how much. This 1, I'll show you what that means. Snowfall amount categories. 1 says a trace to 2 to less than 2 inches. That's not bad. That's about what we're expecting, right? But look at the NAM. They got a 4. What is a 4? 4 is 4 to 6. That's the difference between the 2 snowfall predictions I showed you here. Notice the difference. So it's all about temps, my friends. All about temps. Where's the cold air? How long does it last? And at what levels? So let's talk a little bit of long range here because, again, we talked about early Friday morning. It ends. There we go. And then we're stuck in 40s through the weekend. Not much in the way of precip. Maybe a little bit of little drizzles, sprinkles there on Sunday. But it stays cold. I mean, we skipped right over fall, people. We went straight from like 80s to 40s and have never looked back. We had a couple of stray days in there, but really, we missed all of fall. And that's how we're looking for the next few days. So hopefully that's useful for you. I think that's about it on this. So as I said, expect to see some freezing rain in the morning. We don't anticipate a whole lot in the way of accumulation. National Weather Service, I've read their forecast. They're looking at similar things. I mean, we all see it about the same, but they're very clear that there are multiple different scenarios just based on a degree here or there. So Plan for the worst, hope for the best. Be prepared for possibly a delay Thursday, maybe even one on Friday morning, again, just to be sure roads are clear. But it didn't look terrible, fortunately, but it does look interesting. I know, I can't be more specific than that. That's the weatherman's credo, right? Yeah, thanks for watching. Drop a message down there if you have a specific question about something. Don't hesitate. Send me a message. I'll see if I can answer it for you down in the messages. Like the page, like the YouTube channel, subscribe. And, I'll be doing some updates here, getting back on track, doing these, a couple times a week. It just depends on my other full-time job, the one that pays the bills. So there you have it. That's this. Let's talk weather here for this evening. Cross your fingers. Maybe I'll update. No, I'm headed to Buffalo to work. So I won't be doing an update this weekend because got to pay them bills, right? All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Take care.